Hi everyone, my name's Sam Hausebush, and just wanted to take a few minutes and share my testimony with you all. I know I've done a blog testimony of 4 parts called Blessings of Blindness, but I thought it might be cool, as I was inspired by a couple of friends of mine, to do a video one, especially for any of you who only know me through Facebook and have never actually met me. Just gonna kind of get a chance to sort of introduce myself through sharing my testimony. But anyway, so as some of you may know, I am completely blind. I have been since I was 8 years old, and I'm 26 now. So for the better part of my life, I have been completely blind. And from birth, actually, I was blind at birth. But by the grace of God, I gained some vision in my left eye for the first 8 years of my life. I have a condition called retinal dysplasia, in which my retinas are basically balled up in the backs of my eyes. And from the research I've done, it's actually a very rare condition among humans. It's actually more prevalent in dogs, which I found interesting. But anyway, so the doctors told my parents that if by some small chance the retinas in either one or both of my eyes were to stretch out or expand, then I would gain vision. Basically, the more the retina stretches out, the more vision I would gain. And it said it was rare, there was a small chance that that would occur, but that's exactly what happened. When I was around a year old, I started to gain some slight vision in my left eye. Now, it was not really great vision. It was, for me, it was good because it was all that I knew. It definitely wasn't, I definitely didn't have 20/20 vision or anything, but basically, I was able to see colors and faces and objects up close. So that's essentially about my blindness. I learned Braille. That was how I learned to read. I never learned print except for a little bit that I picked up here and there. But my vision was such that I was not able to read to read print. So I started to learn Braille when I was in kindergarten. I learned how to use a cane. I found that at that point, my vision was such that I didn't really need the cane too much, but I learned how to use it. And I would find later that God was preparing me in a lot of ways for what was to come, because I knew how to use a cane, knew how to read Braille. The other part of my story that I wanted to share has to do with church. From a very young age, church was a part of my life. We went to church every week. The church that I was involved in, though, we did not go to church on Sundays. We went on Saturdays, and we observed the Sabbath from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. And we kept a lot of the Jewish, or the more, what's thought of as the more Jewish holy days, like the Passover, Days of Unleavened Bread, Feast of Tabernacles, some of those. We also did not eat pork. However, it was not Jewish, but basically for keeping the holy days that Jesus kept. And there's some other reasons why, but I'm not entirely sure of everything with regard to that. But as far as church goes, I think as a kid I was pretty much indifferent. I pretty much just went to church because my parents made me. That was the extent of it for me at that point. But church was always something that was a part of my life. I didn't necessarily enjoy it or not enjoy it. I was kind of like, sort of like whatever as far as that goes. And then it was right around age 8 that things kind of started to unravel a bit. I remember, I'll never forget the morning of December 21st, 1993. I woke up and I was not able to see. I had gone to bed the night before with the vision that I had had for the past 8 years. It was fine. I woke up the next morning and my vision had drastically deteriorated over the course of the night. And I remember for a while my parents and I were just sort of like, well, we'll see if maybe I slept on my eye weird or something, and then we'll see what happens in the next maybe hour or so. Sight did not return. So then my parents got me in to see my eye doctor, and then when they examined my eyes, they found that my retina in my left eye, which was the only eye that I had sight in, they found that my retina was detaching. It was basically pulling away from the back of my eye. So had an appointment with a surgeon, and then from there they decided that that they needed to do an operation to try and put the retina back in place. They warned us that it was a very delicate procedure, that it may not work, but it was the only chance that I had of regaining any of the vision that I had had, any of the sight that I had had for the past 8 years of my life. So, did the operation. It was actually Christmas Eve of that year, of 1993. Did the operation. It did not succeed. In fact, it had gone a lot longer than it was supposed to, because the retina, as they were trying to reattach the retina kept tearing. So they ended up deciding that there was nothing more they could do after about 4 hours, and just to kind of see what would happen, they just decided to stop and just see what would happen. But I lost pretty much all the vision that I had known. I lost, with the exception of a little bit of light perception that I had that for a few years. I've lost quite a bit of that over the years, but I had some light perception for a while, so that was a blessing. Now I return again to church. It was also around age 8 that things started to unravel church-wise. The church that I was in essentially started to fall apart. There was all these different factions and things among the people with regard to certain doctrines. So the church ended up breaking off. And a bunch of different churches kind of branched off of that. And so around that time, my brothers and my mom and I decided to leave, and we were not going to church anywhere for a couple of years. And what happened in between that time was that the elementary school I'd been going to, the program for the visually impaired in my school district was only at one school, at least for elementary. And then the program moved to a different school. And so when we moved to the different school, my mom got involved with the PTA there, and she was talking to one of her friends about church, again, the subject of church. And so her friend invited us to her church. And so we really liked it a lot. We started attending there. And it was when I was in 7th grade, got involved with the youth group.